We hope that you'll learn hopefully a couple of things about food prepping, and the whole aim of tonight is to help you do meal prep better so that you can see better results from this challenge, which is why we're doing it in the first week, obviously. So I'm just going to introduce myself a little bit more because I don't really know all of you that well. So besides running the Biggest Winner and working as a personal trainer and creating results and all that stuff, I used to be a chef. So I've been in the fitness industry since 2015. Before that I was in hospitality for 5 years. So yeah, I'm a qualified chef. I've been a chef in New Zealand and in Melbourne, and I've worked at a lot of different restaurants, fine dining, cafes, all that kind of thing. So I have prepped my fair share of food and actually been really helpful in teaching me some good habits in terms of efficiency and like how long you can keep food for and all that sort of stuff that a lot of people just aren't really familiar with because you've never done it before. So as well as that, I do have a certificate in nutrition, and I have worked myself with a nutritionist for the past year. Hey mate. And that's basically to help me perform better for my sport, which is Olympic weightlifting. So it's really important for me that I always have food. At all times there must be food. I need to know what I'm going to eat next, and I need to make sure that I have like the right balance of macronutrients to make sure that I stay fueled properly for my sport. I haven't always been that well educated about food though. Previously, I would overtrain, I wouldn't eat enough, I was very, very lean and not very healthy. I stopped getting my period and all that kind of stuff that happens when you're just not fueling your body properly. So it's really important when we talk about healthy eating that we talk about eating enough as well. It's not just like less, because that's not what is going to get you the results. So that's a little background story about me, and I'll let Hayden introduce himself.
Hi, my name's Hayden. Some of you will know me because I've been around for like ever. I'm coming up to my 9th year in Active Monash. I was there in the birth of the first Biggest Winner and the birth of Camp Rush. Some of you will remember when we went away. My background is I've been in this industry since 2001, for a very, very long time. Like Sarah, I'm also a chef. I've been a chef for 11 years now. I don't commercially cook, but I do consult. I'm also the only active qualified nutritionist on the team. So not only have we included some tips and tricks tonight, but we're also giving you a little bit of a meal plan at the end of it. It's something that you can select from. You don't have to choose to go by it, but it's just giving you a bit of a guideline, yeah? Similar to Sarah, I also used to have a very, very unhealthy relationship with food. A lot of you will not have known, but I was a bulimic person for 17 years. Improving my relationship with food by educating myself has not only furthered my success currently, but it's allowed me to stand here in front of you and give you, I feel like I'm presenting something, and give you my wisdom. So that's me in a nutshell. Why are we here tonight, Sarah?
Well, basically we're hoping that from our experience, not only as trainers and fitness fanatics, but also as people qualified in the fitness industry and knowing some and a lot about nutrition, that we can help you to make some educated choices around the food that you're eating, and hopefully it'll actually make your lives easier rather than harder. And this is going to help you to set yourself up for hopefully winning that $2,000, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in a nutshell, today is meal prep. Do we know what meal prep is? Can someone tell me what is meal prep? There's no wrong answers.
Preparing all your ingredients so that you can make a meal.
Yeah, and why do you think it's important?
So you don't get caught out, so you plan to.
Yeah, how would you get caught out? And again, there's no wrong answers, I'm just...
If you do the meal,
That's exactly right,
So
exactly
you're
right.
organised, yeah, so you know what you're having.
Exactly. So in the chef world, there is a little bit of a slogan that we would always go by, and that's prior preparation prevents poor performance.
end of word out.
Are we going to say fail to prepare, refer to fail? No. What was your one going to be? Very similar to this.
Yes, we call it the 5 Ps. The 5 Ps of success, and that is translatable to anything and everything that you do. How many times have those of us who have kids, how many times of us have been caught out in a supermarket because you forgot to pack a snack for your young ones, and they're like, I'm hungry, I need something now. And so instead of actually being prepared, you've given in and given them something. You're setting a precedent. It's the same thing when it comes to your fitness and your training and this competition. We want you to be prepared for success. Yeah? How many times would you, as a chef, can you say, okay, how many covers would you have done in the peak season? How many meals a night?
So maybe like 200, for example.
And
Horrible.
Yeah.
would you have been able to do those meals successfully had you not prepared?
No, I would not have, Hayden. No.
There you go. There you go.
So interestingly, if you go into a restaurant, the food that is served on your plate, likely 80% of that food would have been prepared several days ago. And it just gets recooked for your dinner. So people who are like, oh, well, I can't do that, it'll go off. That's what you pay to eat when you go out. Like, that food will not have been prepped that day, unless it's like an egg. And we even used to cook eggs ahead of time. So be careful of eggs.
Exactly. So we are hoping that tonight's going to be more interactive. You will be given a little bit of a booklet to take home with you at the end of it, yeah? Shall we go through it?
Yes. So, who here would say that they meal prep?
The challenge I am.
For the challenge, okay. And so about what, half of you? And so, safe to assume that the rest of you don't, you just make your food when you want it? Yeah? What are the reasons that you find stopping you from doing meal prep? Yell them out.
I don't know what to.
Don't know what to cook? Times? Yep, that's a big one. Yep. Anyone else?
Shift work.
Shift work? Yep, so time is a factor? Yep, sure.
Like to eat spontaneously.
Okay, yep, so you eat what you feel like eating? Yeah, okay.
Don't like to
You don't like what, sorry?
eat.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Anything else?
Who's got kids? Little kids? Or just kids? How many times are they getting in the way when you're trying to achieve something?
Not just in terms of food,
It'll
but
all
just
be
in life.
Sorry, Jim. Your mum's like you. So kids. What else have we got?
Get distracted by other things. Well, at least it's a time thing.
Yeah, for sure. So what we want to do tonight is we want to, I guess, break each obstacle down and discuss how you individually can get past this obstacle so that you can meal prep. And it doesn't have to be routine as well, that's another thing.
What day of the week do you meal prep?
So I normally do a Sunday, but for example this weekend I have a competition on all day on a Sunday, so I'm doing it Saturday and I'm going to freeze like half of it basically. Oh hi. Yeah, so I mean in saying that you don't have time, like I've got 3 jobs, I train 2 to 3 hours 5 days a week, and I have time, so I think it's something that if you want to do it badly enough, you will prioritize that as well. And I think that once you notice the results that you get from being consistent with your food, from being prepared all the time, that's going to be the incentive to make you keep doing it. Even if it is a pain and even if there is things you would rather be doing as well.
Success is only achieved through preparation.
100%.
End of story. Whatever it may be, whatever your goal may be, you will only achieve it by being prepared. And that is very much what we're trying to get through to you tonight. One of the easiest tips I can give you when it comes to making sure that you have variety and you are prepared for your week, have 5 containers in your fridge at all times of 5 different coloured vegetables. At the end of your week, so you prep them on Sunday, whatever day is your quietest day, you prep them. When that day comes back around, you wash them and you refill them. That way you've always got 5 lots of vegetables. You can chop and change whatever you want and add it to your protein source throughout the week. You're prepared. You've also got veggie snacks for you. For your kids, I know they won't like them so much.
You have Snacks that your kids won't want.
Exactly. While we're on the subject of kids, especially because you've got little ones, how often do you find it frustrating when you're trying to prepare something and you know your kids won't eat it because they're fussy? Or they
Or
won't
your
eat
partner, for example.
it? The husband.
Yeah.
Easy activity. You can use this for your partner, you can use this for friends. Get them involved. I don't have kids, I have a cat. She doesn't get a say, but it's alright. It's similar. Best activity, easy activity for your kids, get them involved. If there's more than one, then you give each of them 2 colours. They're allowed to choose 2 colours. Those 2 colours get to go in the meal tonight. You also give them, if you have a treat night, pizza, pasta is usually the 2. They're not going to know that they're made from vegetables, but they get to choose which ones. Not only do you get 2 colours to choose from, but you also get to choose the meal. Then why not get them involved? Yeah?
Yeah. I think like making food into like a fun thing
Make
rather
it
than
a
a
game.
chore as well. Like I quite enjoy my, sometimes I even do it on Saturday night. I look forward to it, I have a playlist. And then I lay all my containers out and I'm just like, and then I go to bed at like 9 o'clock. But yeah, it's something that like, if you want to do it bad enough, you will find the time. And I mean, when I first started doing it, it was super daunting because I would have maybe like 6 things that I had to make in like an afternoon, and it would take me a long time, and I'd make a massive mess, and it was a pain in the ass, I'm not gonna lie. But if you just keep with it, and the more you keep doing it, the more efficient you're gonna get at it. It's the same as like probably the first time that you ever came to the gym, the first time that you ever tried results or tried a strength class or something that you're not used to doing. It probably felt hard, probably, you know, took a long time, you might not have felt the best afterwards, but you kept coming, right? And the more you come, the more you see that progress. So it's just like that with meal prep. It's just about like sticking with it. And I just got a meal plan from my own dietitian, and it's literally like, I had to bind it. It's like 30 pages, and I'm terrified, but also very excited to spend like a good 5 hours making all my food for the week. And think about it like, it may take you 3 hours on a Sunday, but that's gonna save you half an hour, 45 minutes every night. Cooking your dinner, making your lunch for the next day. That's all done, you're just doing it in one block. So if you add up how much time you spend every day doing it, a bunch, basically. Yeah. All right.
What was one of the tips that I gave you? Don't look at the board. What's an easy way to ensure that you are prepared for your week?
5 containers.
Oh, so you're listening. What's in the 5 containers?
5 different coloured vegetables.
Why do you think I say 5 different coloured vegetables?
So you make it 4?
Yeah. Every single colour holds a different vitamin and mineral, which is vital. I'm not going to get into the science of it. I know a lot of you will just like nod mine off. But that's going to come a little bit later. Yeah?
Okay, cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to give everyone a little handout, and we are going to go through basically how you would structure, how you would decide what you're going to cook, how you break that down into your different meals throughout the week, and then from there create a shopping list and a plan that you're all going to hopefully action this weekend to set yourself up for Monday. Okay, so come and grab yourself a handout. Yeah, I'll bring it. Okay. 3 more. Okay. Come and grab one, guys. I'm just going to go print and carve some more.
Do we need a pen?
Oh, yes, you will. There's a whole box upstairs.
Sarah's going to go print some more for you now. Sarah's just printing like that. Yeah. Yep.
Tourist for life.
Yep, so guys, that was actually a really interesting question. What happens when you do the same exercise that I go again and again and again and again? Do you change? No, it's the same with your food. If you're eating the same food over and over again, you're not getting anything different from it. And that's why it's good to change your colours. It's the easiest way to ensure you're getting variety. That answer your question?
No, so if you're having different colours, but
Yeah.
the same, like, say, for example, you're green, you only have broccoli, and you
Yeah.
have bok choy or zucchini. Is that an issue, like, even if it's a different, like, using different colours?
It's not an issue. If I wanted to get in depth, there are different properties for each of those different green vegetables,
Similar enough.
but it's similar enough for you to be getting the same.
Thank you. Thank you, sorry.
Does anyone else have any
So we're
questions?
looking at the inside colour of the vegetable or the outside colour?
The outside.
The outside.
Yeah. Don't think you won't do too much. Does anyone else have any questions you want to ask about food? Yes.
People that refuse to eat vegetables.
Yeah. Why? Why?
My father used to make me eat it when I was young, and the last 20 years I refused to eat to an
Okay.
extent.
Which ones do you eat?
I won't eat peas, I won't eat corn, I won't eat.
I don't even like peas.
I won't eat broccoli, I won't eat Brussels sprouts, I won't eat cabbage.
What green do you eat? Spinach, beans,
Lettuce.
lettuce. Okay, no, that's green. Cucumber.
Yeah.
Yep, that's
I'll
green.
eat lettuce and cucumber, tomato, beetroot, and stuff like that.
See, there you go. You are eating veggies.
Basic vegetables.
See, it doesn't. When I say veggies, it doesn't have to be the standard potato, carrot, peas, broccoli. It can be any of that group of colours. Yeah. Hopefully, she won't be.
So are we allowed to actually eat carbs like potatoes or not?
Yeah, okay, so I want to break down a myth. Carbs usually means processed food, bread, yeah, things that have been refined. Carbs, as in potatoes, I would much prefer you eating potatoes because it's natural. It's a natural source of carbohydrate and it's slow releasing.
And corn as well is good?
Corn is,
Fantastic.
yep, so as long as it's not in a tin, we're happy. Answer your question?
Yeah.
Just gonna grab a drink. That was awkward. I realised the towel's not there anymore. So while we're waiting for Sarah, if you want to turn to the back, you'll see there's a bunch of recipes there for you. Again, it's just a guide. You don't have to follow them. It's completely up to you. You can swap and change some ingredients out as long as you're still getting the basis of what we're trying to achieve. And that's to make sure you stay within a calorie range for your main meals. You'll notice that we've only included dinners because we don't want you to feel restricted. Just like Kathleen said before, we don't want to be committed. Who's brave enough to let me know what you had for lunch today? Let's start.
Tuna and lettuce sandwich on cranberry
Very good. Very good.
and a peach.
Very good. Sounds very healthy. What did you have, Sean?
I did a big cook of veggies. So I had broccoli, beans, and a tin of tuna and spring onion. That spring water was over
Nice.
top.
So is it just like a stew? Or is it?
Just veggies I cooked on Sunday
Okay.
and put some chili flakes on top and some cracked up.
Here's an interesting fact. Chili and lemon will increase your metabolism because it makes you sweat. Depends on how hot you are. What did you have?
I had duck rice, with salad and turkey.
You're preaching to the choir.
Sorry?
You're preaching to the choir. Yeah.
Black rice,
And up the back here. Who else needed one? Simone.
Get a pen, Simone. Anyone else? Garrett?
Who else wants to share what they had for lunch?
Oh, fun game.
Peas and tomato paste.
Is that your comfort food?
No, it was just what was given to me.
You weren't prepared. We're going to be so annoying.
There's nothing wrong with the cheese toast. It's my favourite. Has everyone got? Have you?
Oh, Robert, sorry.
Thank you.
Everyone's got a pen?
Yeah, I didn't draw it. I got it off the internet.
I thought it was your work.
It's a very cute
Obviously,
broccoli.
there's a broccoli on it. Okay, so you're going to start with planning your time.
I'm cold, so.
Oh, are you okay? Have you got a sheet, Vanessa?
Yes.
Yes, right, okay. Okay, so you're going to start with planning your time. You're going to find yourself either 2 90-minute blocks, do you reckon, or one 3-hour
4.
for food prep?
Depends on what you're going to be doing for the week. If it's going to be involved a lot of recipes, then obviously you're going to need more time. But all you're going to need is a couple of hours in one day. That's it.
Let's
for your
aim
week.
for 2 2-hour blocks at some point throughout the week. Ideally, a couple of days apart.
Yes.
I normally need to do like a backup prep day on like a Wednesday or a Thursday because I will have eaten all of my food and my fridge is very small. Also, if you're a bit paranoid about keeping stuff as fresh as possible, then you're probably going to want to do that as well. Also, cooking 7 days worth of food for like 3 meals is a lot of work. So, 2 2-hour blocks throughout the week. Put that in your step 1, which is plan your time. Saturday night's a fine option. Supermarket's real empty then as well.
Those recipes in the back, how many servings are in each of those?
Oh, so it should actually say on
It's
each
got it.
one as well.
Oh, okay.
Down the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, got it.
Oh,
With- With those recipes, we try to keep them as little as possible, so we don't want to have a whole bunch of food just sitting around in your fridge or your freezer. Okay? However, if you do want to increase it because you've got more mouths to feed, you follow the same measurements that's written down in there. Yeah?
Alright, have we all found 2 blocks of time? 2 hours? Amazing. Anyone struggling? No, we're good? Okay, so step 2 is going to be to plan your meals. So there's a few variables that you need to keep in mind, okay? Now, first one, and this is very important, is make sure you prep food you actually like. Because I've made the mistake of going and getting a whole bunch of eggplants. They're
Brussels sprouts.
and being like, I'm gonna have eggplant parmesan like for 5 nights, and it was disgusting. And I had it once, and then I was just like, I was in a bad mood for like the entire week. So if you're gonna try a spontaneous vegetable, you get a small amount. You want to get stuff that you know you're going to like, because there's nothing worse than like not looking forward to your food. That is the worst. They'll put you in a bad mood. So that's very important. You also want to make sure that the ingredients are easily sourced and they fit your budget as well. Like chia puddings are all like very cool and stuff, but chia seeds are expensive. So there's no point going and spending like $1 million at one of those flash supermarkets, because you're not going to really be able to do that every single week, right? No.
This applies to your veggies as well. So did you know, I want you, your homework from me tonight is I want you to find out what veggies are in season and when they rotate.
100%.
When they are not in season, they will cost you more.
Broccoli is
Supermarket.
$8 a kilo at times. I will still buy it. Yeah. I'm not happy about it.
Exactly.
So a
Always have
good,
silver beet in the garden.
there you go. Or a local farmer's
Everyone
market
goes to
is
Naomi's
great.
house.
Yeah, everyone Naomi's got silver beet. Well, there you go. As long as there's mangoes, right?
And they can be frozen too.
There you go. So that's another good option actually, Evan, is like buying bags of frozen broccoli or mangoes. Someone was telling me the other day that they have big bags of frozen broccoli at Costco. Amazing. So there's another option as well. And that way, because broccoli, I've got like quite a lot of space in my fridge taken up for broccoli. If I had frozen broccoli, you know, so there you go. So make sure it's in season, that way it's going to be cheap, that way you also know that it's going to be like locally sourced preferably and fresh. Make sure that you choose balanced meals. So by that I mean you want to have a healthy balance of protein, of fats and of carbohydrates. Yes, Mel?
How do you not? That's where I get super confused.
Okay.
I don't know how much everything's worth.
Okay, so there's a really basic way that you can do it without getting into all the science of how many grams of each you need to have, because that's going to vary different for everyone, okay? So palm-sized piece of protein, so just like the size of your hand, thumb-sized piece of fat, so like avocado, nuts, olive oil, something like that, and then the rest of your plate would be veggies, and not like chips. Like fresh veggies, steamed, baked, like a variety, salads, stuff like that. So that's a really good way of doing it without having to weigh everything, and it's a little bit stress-free.
I mean, who's got time to weigh everything?
Well, that's what I've always been a bit put off by.
The easy rule of thumb is just what Sarah went through.
Yeah,
100%. You also want to keep in mind how long your food's going to last as well, and factor in if you do have dinners out. Because it's all very well and good to prep yourself 5 nights worth of dinner, but if you know you've got a couple of meals out, then what's going to happen to that food? You know, it's just a waste. So either pop them in the freezer for the next week, or just factor them in and be like, oh, I'm only going to need 3 dinners because I know that I'm having dinner out at some point or other. So those are your things to consider. So now what you're going to do is we're going to brainstorm some ideas for some breakfast, lunches, dinners. Actually, we're not going to do dinners because Hayden's already done them all in the back. We're going to think about some easy breakfasts and some easy lunches that you're going to put into your little planner here, which is our step 2, plan your meals, keeping those variables in mind. So, let's do a bit of a brainstorm for breakfasts. Am I going blind? Okay, so one of my personal favourites I call breakfast loaf. It's just a frittata, but I thought breakfast loaf sounded better. So it's basically just eggs, vegetables, a bit of coconut flour, mixed all up together, put in the oven and baked in a big dish. It's super easy to make. You can make it with leftover veggies, you can make it with frozen veggies, fresh veggies. It's easy as, okay? Because I got put on a gluten-free plan by my previous nutritionist, and I just still have coconut flour, but you could use normal flour or any sort of flour. So breakfast loaf. Any other ideas?
What about Vitabricks? Are they okay?
I would prefer that you make something, but if you're time poor, then yeah, that's fine. And the only reason I say that is because they're usually high in sodium. And what happens with sodium throughout the day, it attracts water. So therefore you start to accumulate fluid weight. I would prefer you to make them yourself.
How would you make
I
it?
thought that
Not
Vitabricks were
Vitabricks.
fairly healthy in terms of
They're
breakfast
healthy,
cereals.
but when you read on the back, I guarantee you the sodium content will be quite high.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
They have to put something into these foods for them, the shelf life to be as long as they are.
Oh.
They may reduce fat and sugar, but they always add something else. That's how they get you.
So trying to have your food as close to a natural source as possible is probably like a good rule of thumb as well. So if you want more of like a cereal type breakfast like that, just plain oats,
Yeah, that's
yeah, or something like that.
I make my own muesli, which is basically
Oh, amazing.
just chuck in some oats and then, a tablespoon of all different seeds.
Yeah, perfect.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That sounds beautiful. Making your own muesli is a really good and healthy breakfast option, and also you know what's in it as well. So that's really good. If you don't have the time to do that, literally you can just put oats in the microwave, or you can make a bircher. Now that's a really nice option as well. So that means you don't have to toast anything. You can just put in some oats. If you want added protein, like some protein powder, some yogurt, leave it overnight with some frozen berries in it. Goes all mushy. Put some peanut butter on it.
It does taste some really good.
Peanut butter for everything.
With what, sorry?
It still tastes some really good probiotic milks at the moment.
Yeah. Lots of different milks you can use as well, and especially if you have intolerances or vegan or anything like that, like almond milk, coconut milk. Yeah, and they all add a different flavour as well, so that can be a good way of like mixing it up. Put on a different sort of nut butter, a different sort of berry, whatever fruit's seasonal. Alright, what else have we got?
I do smashed up cannellini beans with
Yum.
goat's cheese.
Oh my god, yum.
And then either have grainy bread or, if you've got time, just bake slices of sweet potato.
That sounds so good. Sweet potato toast is the best.
After we go to Naomi's, we're going to your place.
Yeah. 100%.
I really struggle to eat breakfast. It's something I
Just don't feel hungry.
No, so for me it's usually a fruit smoothie or toast with avocado and cheese or peanut butter, so something, and
Something small.
that's about all I usually,
Yeah.
so going from that, so I'm obviously eating a lot less at breakfast than, where does that mean my lunch is, or I should be having a big morning?
It doesn't really matter how much or how little you eat, as long as the meal at the end of your night is not massive to compensate. Because if you've got all these calories that you've just put into your body and then you go to bed, you're not doing anything to burn that off. Yeah? So the general easiest way to go about it is medium size breakfast, big lunch, medium to smaller dinner with protein rich content. Protein makes you feel fuller for longer overnight.
Really, you said don't have anything in cans, but chickpeas are really good.
No, they're fine. I meant more like vegetables. In
So all
tins.
of these are alright.
That's all
As
fine.
long
They
as
don't
it's
add
not-
anything to those. It's just aquava, that's it.
You said smoothies as well, so that is a really good option, and definitely adding like a protein powder to that as well is going to help.
That's literally my breakfast daily. Is
How much protein powder ones?
So normally you go a scoop, which is about, could be like 15 to 20 grams of protein normally, but it will always say on the back what the amount of protein is that you get from that serve as
I
well.
also put silken tofu, which sounds great, but you can't actually taste it.
You can't taste it at all.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Protein and chicken.
It's complete protein and it makes it thick.
Oh yum.
Yeah.
I'll be doing that.
Yeah. You can also add avocado. That thickens it up as well.
On the weekend, before I start doing the meal, but I don't start doing the food, but I like to clean up my veggie drawer and do like a big scramble of eggs.
Oh, yum.
All the veggies and just chuck it in and make
That sounds
scramble.
beautiful.
Exactly.
Scrambled eggs are so easy to do on the day as well. Like, you can even do them in the microwave. Just whisk them up with a fork. Just don't put them in for too long, because I did that the other week and it was like an explosion.
Armageddon.
It was horrendous. And I lost like half an egg white, like to the air. It was terrible.
It's actually a really good point that you brought up. So stock rotation. As chefs, we know how important it is to make sure that we
Yes.
are serving the fresh stuff first and letting the old stuff get older. If you are not familiar with stock rotation, the 5 container tip that I gave you, if you want to make sure or ensure that you're getting fresh food every week, you can get 10 containers, 5 with one colour lid and 5 with a different colour. Once you've got to the end of one colour, I love my containers. My fridge is like all containers. Like once you got to the end of those 5 different colour, the first colour lids, you know it's time to rotate your stock. Easy. Yeah?
Alright, that's a solid amount of, I'm hungry.
I haven't had dinner yet, so I'm not.
Alright, so let's brainstorm some snacks. Barrett beetroot balls.
I don't know, where is it?
Oh
I was
my god,
expecting-
I was like, she better bring them. They looked amazing. So there's lots of variations of that sort of snack. The only thing you got to watch for is often they've got like heaps of dates and stuff like that in.
High sugar.
High sugar content, and that's going to make you want, you know how you can't eat, I don't know how you went with those balls, but like I used to make those sort of balls and I would legit eat like the entire batch. So I had to stop making them.
Yeah.
It's terrible. So just be careful of that, or you know, maybe just like So yeah, so you want to make sure that you're like limiting your consumption of that sort of stuff, because even though it's not like bad sugar, it still kind of has the same effect where it makes you crave more. Okay, so that's kind of the issue with those. Veggie sticks are a way more boring option. And if you team them with like a fat, like a peanut butter or almond butter or something like that,
Hummus.
hummus, That's going to have to keep you fuller for longer, definitely.
Hey, you've already got those veggie sticks in your containers
You do,
in
in
the
your
fridge,
5
so
containers.
they're already ready. Who does prep their snacks? Who organises them and brings snacks? What do you throw them out at me? What do you have?
I boil 7 eggs at the start of the week and
Yep.
have 1 each day.
Amazing.
Very good.
Love that.
With cracked pepper and salt.
What do you have, Nish?
Sometimes the veggie sticks and hummus, or a bit of green curry and blueberries.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
What do you have, Simone?
I can do popcorn as well, so just the kernels, so fresh popcorn.
Who loves a good popcorn? I mean, really.
My kids love it.
Come on. Anyone else? Want to throw them out at me?
This involves no food prep.
That's okay.
YoPro?
Yeah.
YoPro's good. You like YoPro.
Fresh fruits.
Mangoes?
Peaches, because peaches are in at the moment.
Yep.
Plums.
Nectarines are real
Love
good right now
nectarines.
too.
Awesome, yeah.
Nectarines are really good.
Amazing.
Side note, nectarines. Nectarines,
Fun fact.
fun fact, nectarines are quite high in protein. They are the only fruit in the stone family that has a high amount of protein. Yes. Per 1 medium nectarine is at least 2 grams of protein. There you go, take home. You've learnt one thing from it.
There you go. And if you want to know how much protein you should be having, it's 2 grams per kilo of your body weight. So that's something interesting to note down. And if you do use like a food tracking app, just out of interest, so that you know how much you are consuming of each thing, it can actually be quite helpful, because you might find that you're like way under eating in something. And so you're constantly finding that you're craving sugar and you're craving things that aren't necessarily great. But if you just increase that protein and increase that healthy fat intake, you're not going to find that you want to eat 10 bliss balls, for example.
Is that saying though, like, if that's hugely different to your current intake, is that saying you should gradually strive to achieve, like, rather than trying to do that straight away? Like, it seems like a very big
That's a good question.
thing to,
It's just like when you're learning a new exercise, you break it down.
yeah,
Baby steps towards the end result.
yeah.
Yeah, so if you were supposed to be eating, say, 150 grams of protein a day, and you're currently only eating 70 grams, unless you change a lot of what you're eating, that's going to be really challenging. So you might want to just increase it gradually and start cutting other things out rather than just doing a complete
Replacing.
Yeah, replacing.
So when you're talking about grams of protein, we're not talking about, for example, the size of a piece of steak, are
No,
we?
so basically, say for example, it's like a piece of fish, might have like a 140 gram piece of fish, would have about like 25-30 grams of protein. Does that make sense? So you're not actually, it's not the weight
It's
of
not
the
the weight.
product. Yeah.
1 medium chicken breast has 30 grams.
So generally, whenever I talk to people about their diet, I get them to tell me like, you know, a few of their meals and stuff like that, and generally find that they're not eating enough protein as well. And it's more challenging if you are vegetarian or vegan, just because you've got to kind of work to find those sources.
I'm vegan, I have been for almost 20 years. I'm not wasting away, so I'm pretty healthy. There are ways around it. I'm not saying I don't push my agenda on you, but there are always ways, and you will always get there if you do your research. Remember, prior preparation prevents poor performance.
So you obviously combine vegetables and proteins to get a whole protein.
So everything in the legume family, from beans to chickpeas, they are complete proteins. The only one that's not is corn. That's not a complete protein, that's high sugar.
Basically a waste of time.
Naomi loves it.
No offense. No offense, corn lovers. Alright, so we've got a few snacks there. Now let's talk about lunches. Now lunch is a tricky one because a lot of workplaces and offices like to go out for lunch or have birthdays, or, you know, I just went out there to print these things off, and the cafe has given us like a tray of chicken nibbles and dim sums. So there's always crap. And that's the hard thing about lunch. Or there's always someone who's like, oh, let's just go get Subway, or let's just go get whatever. And that's like a temptation that you've got to be like, no, I brought my lunch. And just be like, that's why you prepare, so that you're not tempted by the tray of dim sums and chicken nibbles. So there's a few options that you can have if you forget your lunch, for example. We're generally always near a supermarket of some description, right? There's so many options now if you go to Coles that you can actually get a healthy lunch together in the space of a few minutes. One option is getting a raw sweet potato, a bag of mixed salad, and grabbing like a package of pre-cooked chicken or a can of tuna. Spike that sweet potato with a fork, pop it in the microwave, 6 to 7 minutes, it'll probably explode, but once it has, you'll have a beautifully freshly baked potato, put your salad on, put your meat on, boom, perfectly balanced lunch. And everyone else will still be at Chadstone, getting Subway. Yeah, exactly. Also, it's expensive to buy your lunch every day as well. If you spend like 15 to 20 bucks on lunch every day, why don't you put that in a jar on your desk? At the end of the week, you're going to have like more money than that. Buy yourself a nice treat. You're going to have more. And then you can go to the shops and buy yourself a spiralizer or something new for the kitchen to do all your food prep with.
Or you get new containers.
Yes! Oh my god, get
Exactly.
your containers.
So you just mentioned cooking a sweet potato. A sweet potato is better than normal white potatoes?
Lower sugar.
Yes.
They are lower.
Yeah, lower GI.
It's also higher in potassium, which is the opposite of sodium. So if you've found that the night before, look, we're not saying that you are not to drink, you're not to have any of this stuff, because that's the fastest way for you to fall back into an old habit.
100%.
When people say no, no, no to things. So you are going to be, throughout this competition, going out, you may have a party coming up, you may have something coming up. 9 times out of 10, when we have something to drink, it's just water. Okay? When we have something to drink, that's usually coupled with food. Food that we wouldn't necessarily in this competition want to choose.
Yeah.
When you have had that happen to you, the best thing to do the next day is to have something high in potassium to push the toxins out of your body. Yeah? Banana and sweet potato are the highest sources of potassium.
And they're great together. I literally just had them for a post-training snack. Frozen banana with a roasted sweet potato, it's like an ice cream
Yeah.
cone. It's amazing.
She's telling me I'm
With
like,
peanut butter. Oh my god, it's my favorite.
not so sure about that. But.
It's honestly, guys, so good. Alright, so any other lunch options? Leftovers are a great one as well. Definitely. What else?
If you're getting takeaway, Japanese.
Yep.
Sushi steams.
Yep, so leftover takeaway, if it's healthy. And the thing is, if you have a really good plan, if you're sticking to this like 80% of the time, then go out for a couple of drinks, have dinner out, have a piece of birthday cake at work, because you're making the good choices most of the time. Yeah, it's when we don't prepare and we don't eat breakfast, go buy lunch from the food court, then we've got cake and we go home, have a few drinks, haven't got dinner prepared, so we order dinner, and that whole day is just like stuffed with bad choices. But if you start a Sunday, spend all that time making your food, it's less likely that you're going to make those bad choices. Yeah.
It's also about what we're trying to achieve is to improve your relationship with food. What we don't want to do, or what we're trying to avoid, is for you to have a negative emotion attached to food because you slipped up. Yeah? The reason we're getting you to prepare your own meals is because when you put more care into it, it cares more for you. A quick fix never solves anything. And Uber Eats is a quick fix.
Yeah, and it's about being kind to yourself too.
Yes.
And that's why I say, like, make foods that you like. Get excited to try a new recipe, like those beetroot bliss balls. I would have been so excited to make them.
I'm still waiting.
Yeah, I still would quite like one. And if you do that, if you're looking forward to your meals because you know you put so much time into it, and that it's actually going to nourish your body, it's going to help you feel better, it's going to help you train better, it's going to help you look better, then you're not going to be so quick to want to order Uber Eats or stop at McDonald's on the way home. Yes.
Is smoked salmon good for you?
Yeah, smoked salmon is a really good source of a healthy fat as well.
Omega-3s.
Amazing.
Lots of omega-3s.
Yes. Should we talk about dessert options?
Yes, please.
I did mention the sweet potato and banana. What's that? Sorry.
How essential is it to include like carbohydrate, like sweet potato or something like that, into your lunch? Like, is that essential?
To have any sort of carbohydrate?
Yes.
Well, you're gonna have carbohydrate in some form. You're gonna have some veggies in there, right?
Even if you're not having like starchy veggies, just normal vegetables.
Carbohydrates is a form of sugar, so it's present in everything.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, so then is it essential then if you're having sort of broccoli and carrot and stuff to have something like sweet potato or brown rice in your lunch?
No.
Okay.
So the starchy stuff is usually there to give you sustained energy
Yeah.
throughout the day. I do recommend that you have it at your biggest meal of the day, so the middle of the day, because it gives you time to burn it off, but it's not essential.
Yeah.
If you're going to have a lot of like carrots and broccoli and all of that, there is enough carbohydrates in there
Yeah.
to sustain you.
Yeah. And for you, just because of your training, I'd probably have the carbohydrates more around before and after you train. So a little like a smaller amount before you train, but a larger amount after you train, because you need your body to recover from that training. Yeah. What was your about desserts? So there's actually an awesome range of protein ice creams. If you've seen it, I actually just went to Coles and there is a new one. So yeah, I know. So there is always options. I mean, a lot of people are of the mindset like, if I'm going to have a treat, I'm going to have a treat. And that's totally fair. And you might want to do that like once a week, have like proper ice cream or have cake or something like that. But if you're like me and you actually quite do enjoy having a little bit of a dessert every day, then there's options that are higher in protein and they're lower in fat and sugar that are actually going to be better for you in terms of calories. But in saying that, they are also very highly processed, and you probably do better to have some fruit or yogurt. But they are a really nice treat. Anyone else got any good dessert ideas?
You blend frozen banana with like.
Oh my
peanut
god,
butter
yes
or
you
whatever,
can.
like an
It's
ice
the
cream
best.
out of it.
Yes. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. And that can be a really fun thing to do with the kids as well. If they want a treat, you can show them how you can magically make a frozen banana into ice cream, and they'll love it.
So that was a frozen banana and how much?
So you do like a tablespoon of peanut butter, you can put like a couple of dates in there, cacao powder, makes it like chocolate flavoured.
Throw a coconut in, then you got a rough coconut rush. I don't know, I'm really hungry. It's time to think. Yes.
I was going to say, what about thoughts on like a chocolate, that sort of thing? Like your protein, chocolate bars, things like that? Like
Do you mean like just like protein bars and stuff?
bars as well. Yeah, snacks.
So it's like the whole thing that we were saying before, like you want to try and have food as close to its natural source. That's what I'm saying, like that ice cream stuff. Like it's less bad for you than it's less sugar and fat than like say gelato messina, but it's still not going to be ideal. I'll have a protein bar like if I know that I need a snack and I've somehow managed to go through all of my food that I've prepared. That would probably be an option that I would take instead of getting something like a bag of chips or a chocolate bar or something like that. But if you're relying on that as your protein source like all the time, it's probably not ideal because they're very high in sodium as well. And sugar, yeah.
Which will have a long-term lasting effect on your kidneys and
Yeah, so it's not just things that make us put on weight that are bad, basically. Yeah.
What cheeses are?
Oh, we haven't even discussed cheese.
I'm obsessed with cottage cheese, low-fat cottage cheese. It's
here's a little tip. Whenever it says low fat, stay away.
Because it means they put heaps of other crap into
stuff?
it to make it taste good. Because it's the fat that makes it taste nice, basically.
So advertising companies, they like to get you with low fat, low sugar, low sodium. But those are the three building blocks of making sure food stays healthy. When one is removed, they've got to increase something else. And they get you with that. I would prefer you to have full fat, because it's a complete chain of protein. Low fat is not. They've removed a bit out of it.
So the other day I looked at the Greek yogurt low fat versus the normal
more fat, and the other one has a lot more sugar in it.
Exactly.
Yeah, because they have to put it on your ass, it'll taste like rubbish, basically.
And then no one likes rubbish.
No one likes rubbish.
Exactly. But to answer your question, what was your complete question?
Oh, what cheese? Sorry.
What is your
Sorry.
favorite?
I love cheese in general.
All of them.
That's okay. I mean, for lunch, I might have like salmon and cream cheese. And is cream cheese okay?
All cheeses are fine. All cheeses are fine as long as you are being
It's more about
sensible.
how much you're having.
Very sensible. Obviously, we're not going to eat the whole tub. Yeah, exactly.
So I can still eat my bread and
You can still eat your brie, but you need to ask yourself this question. Should I eat the amount that I'm eating? Or can I be more sensible? I'm never, ever, ever going to get up here and say, stop doing this, stop doing that. Because like I said before, it's the fastest way for you to fail. We don't want that. We want you to improve your relationship with food for the rest of your life.
Yeah, so it's not just about the 8 weeks, although obviously we
Exactly.
do want you to do really well in the challenge, but it's about building habits that you can keep going after it. So you don't feel like you're on a diet for 8 weeks, you know what I mean?
I drink, I eat cheese, I eat pizza, obviously gluten-free vegan, but I eat all
What
those
even is that?
things.
Just a piece of cardboard.
I eat all those things. And
It's the box.
the best part about that is food is there to be enjoyed. Enjoy your food. We're not about, like I said before, we're not about stopping you from enjoying your food, but it's keeping you mindful of the things that are going into your body.
And if you make healthy choices and you have a treat, it's actually more of a treat. Like if you have 2 glasses of wine every day, then
Jesus.
it's probably not much of a treat, yeah? But if you,
that one becomes a treat.
I remember previously from different sessions we've done with business about like condiments, sauces and dressings and keeping it under 5 grams.
Hidden stuff, yes.
So
Yeah.
is that still, you know, 'cause sometimes I can't be bothered making the salad dressing or I want a sauce on my steak.
so like it's good to just have nice clean ones like just a balsamic vinegar, olive oil, stuff like that. Or, you know, obviously making it yourself, but you can honestly just pour those things on at the same time. It's stuff like ketchup and all those kind of sauces are really high in sugar. So when you end up drowning your stuff in tomato sauce, and barbecue sauce is actually horrendous. It's got so much sugar in it. I think it's about like 10 grams for like a serve or 13 grams for a serve or something like that. So you've really got to look at the labels of the food that you're eating, which Chloe and I will actually get into a little bit more on the second seminar. But yeah, if what you're looking at is adding like another 10 grams of sugar to your food, then do you really need it?
A good alternative is lemon.
Yeah,
Lemon
it's
or
good.
lime
Fresh herbs.
or chili.
So like I've done some stir fries and that, so goat oyster sauce on versus soy sauce I'm like is actually a high difference in, you know, so go,
Very good.
you know,
Yeah.
I'll skip the oyster sauce, I'll look having the smaller portion of the soy sauce.
Yeah, so you can get low sodium soy sauce. And I would recommend that you do, because soy sauce is one of those tricky ones where it's not like we're all going to measure our soy sauce. We're like, that's a lot of salt that you're putting in there.
Yeah. But yeah, fresh herbs,
Exactly.
lemon, balsamic vinegar, all that kind of stuff. I put balsamic vinegar on everything. I love it. It's amazing.
With a peanut butter.
Question, if we're going to eat rice, what sort of rice?
Brown.
Brown rice.
Brown
There's
or
a lot
wild.
of brown ones now. What sort of brown?
Long grain brown is the best.
Long ones, good old long grain.
Good old long grain. It's the cheapest and it's the best for you because it's not been heavily refined and it will give you energy for a long time. No white. No white rice.
Not even basmati rice.
You can obviously, like I said before, we're not going to be like don't have anything.
Oh no, sorry. No, I wasn't here for the first half. But
Yeah.
From my understanding, basmati is actually one of those rice that is actually very slow releasing.
It's less refined than say jasmine rice,
Yeah.
but it's still refined. The best option for you is brown or wild. Wild is the best.
Brown basmati now.
You can get brown.
So many rice.
There you go.
That's why I asked the question. There's just so many.
What's
Wild.
that one with a little brown bit on the end?
It's purple. Brown and purple. It's literally wild rice that they've just pulled it. You can buy it at any supermarket. It's with all the rices, you'll see them, they're like purpley and brown in the They look like seeds.
Seeds, should we snack on seeds?
Seeds are a good snack too.
And you have to be careful how much you eat though.
Exactly.
That's the thing with nuts and seeds, like a handful, that's a lot. Yeah, so you want to like 30 grams, 20-30 grams would be like a good serving. Normally you get those little boxes and you're like, that's not enough.
Yeah.
It sadly is enough. Yeah, they know.
10 almonds is 30 grams of protein. Yes.
I know.
Sad, isn't it?
So sad.
Exactly. But it's also a very natural source of fat.
Yes. Well, I think we haven't even got half of the worksheet. Well, it's 8 o'clock, but let me just talk you through the rest of what you're going to be doing because you can probably do this as homework. Basically, from the ideas that we put together, that we all brainstormed, you are going to make yourself a plan for your breakfast, lunches, dinners, snacks for next week. From there, you're going to break those meals down into ingredients, and we have a shopping list for you that is divided into categories: veggies, fruit, meats, dairy, fridge, frozen, dry goods, and cooking supplies. Obviously, you'll all put coloured containers so that you can photocopy that and use it for the next 8 weeks if you want to. And hopefully that will set you up for some success in the coming weeks. And also 10 of Hayden's amazing recipes that are some awesome dinner ideas for you as well. So please try them, take a photo and post them on the group so everyone can see how awesome they are. And if you have any tips for everyone, things that you found worked for you in terms of meal prep, even maybe some pitfalls, some horrible vegetables you discovered, you might want to warn everyone else.
If you are going to follow those 10 meals, you will be reusing a lot of vegetables, so there'll be very little waste. Very little waste.
That makes it a lot easier when you go shopping as well, because you don't have to buy like 10 different sorts of vegetables. You might just have like 3 or 4 for the week and then change them the next week. Yeah.
I'm not that kind of big trainer. I'll be like, you have to buy 10 eggplants and you only use one.
The rest is fair.
Exactly.
All right, thank you so much for coming, guys. I hope that you got something out of that. Thank you for coming.
Now we will be editing this and posting it up just in case you want to go back and review anything. If you have any questions at all, feel free to stay behind and let us know. And I want to run you through some activities for kids that we went over in the first half.
Should we be aiming at any particular calorie amount per day?
Yes.
So that's very dependent on the individual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any rough guide as to like?
There is a rough guide.
Yeah.
Generically, we would usually say for females it's 1600, roughly, but then that comes
Calories
down.
or kilojoules?
Calories. Yeah, we're not American. So calories, but that comes down to it changes with activity levels, it changes with if you're going through menopause, if you've had injuries, if you've just had children, because your hormones are all over the shop. It's very different for different people. But rule of thumb for women is 1600 or 1800 if you're active. For men, it's 2000 if you're active and 1800 if you're not. Yeah? Which we're all going to be super active through
Always
this competition, aren't we?
MyFitnessPal, and you can try tracking your food and just see where you sit. And then you can get an indication of if you're eating too much or too little, and you can adjust it like that.
I suspect I'm not eating enough protein.
Before you go,
Yeah, it's a good idea to do it to see.
I just want to make sure that you understand under-eating is the same as overeating. It's exactly the same. You will gain weight. If you under-eat, you will gain weight. Your body is not smart, your mind is smart. Your body thinks it's in famine and it will hold on to all the energy and store it as fat. You need to make sure you are eating enough. Yeah? And I feel like I'm
Speaking
at
of
school.
which, let's go eat some food.
Let's eat some foods.
Let's try a minute.